All right, welcome everybody. This is Jan Stringer, and I'm very excited to be with you today for our special Being Attraction book giveaway bonus call, Zoominar, as I said. And today I'm going to just cover a few basic points that I think stand out from many of the points in the book and use that as a conversation piece. Today's really all about you getting what you want to get the buzz on in your business. So I will start with just a little centering exercise. Everybody is muted right now, and then I'm going to unmute the lines in just a moment. And you can share with me and everybody, if you don't mind, what attracted you to be here. So you can be thinking about that. But let's just get started. This is how I start all my programs, so hopefully you'll enjoy it too. So if you'd like to join me in closing your eyes, I like to just take a few moments to take a deep breath. Breathing helps us to get into our body, out of our mind, and relax. So deep breath. And letting it go. With all the busyness of the day already, we may have forgotten to breathe deeply. So let's do another deep breath, breathing in through your nose and releasing through your mouth. Just another deep breath and letting it go. On this third breath, when you breathe in, I'd like you to imagine as you're breathing in what it is you'd like to receive out of being here today. So when you breathe in, just pull that in so that you can get everything you need from being here today. I know you took precious time out of your day to be here. So breathe in, hold it for a minute, see that goal or that request or that special thing you're wanting to pull in today, see that happening, see all of us collaborating. Maybe there's a special thing you'll get out of today that you hadn't expected. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, deep breath, let it go. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. And I'm going to unmute everybody. So what I want you to do is, in just a minute, take a brave step and undo your video, undo your mic, and share what got you here. But let me just give you a little preface before we jump into that. When I was writing the Being Attraction book back in 2008, I don't know if you remember, but I remember I'd had some really good years in this business, and all of a sudden our economy was tanking. Does anybody remember that? Well, people that were in this kind of business that I'm in, and maybe you're also in, where we depended on classes filling and the internet going, and it's like the world didn't operate the same anymore. And a lot of people were struggling. A lot of people that had this kind of business just actually went away. And so since I had a dribble of business still coming in, I decided that I wanted to write this book. Now, this book had been started long before I went to writing an actual book about it. These are actually the principles from our certification training program that we share with others who are interested in using our work in their businesses. And the training principles in here are the ones that are kind of like the behind-the-scene principles that if you apply them to your business, I feel you're going to have a successful business, because there are many of the things that you might already apply. I got to mute people, but that's okay. All right. There may be things that you apply, but I never saw anybody really writing about a lot of these things in business, and I wanted to put them into a book form. So I expanded on the first book, Attracting Perfect Customers, The Power of Strategic Synchronicity, to Alan and I wrote this book together. I did a lot of the writing to get us started, and then we passed it back and forth for quite a while. And so these principles that I'm sharing with you today are the ones that I feel that get left out of the equation when people are looking at building a business. And so before we get into all of the details of that, I'd love to hear what attracted you to be here. And if there's anything special that you'd like to get out of today, let's put it in the pot and see what we can do about that. So who's willing to share a little bit about what attracted you to be here? Anybody? Don't be shy. Oh my gosh, there's a person. Hi, John.
Hi. I won't be shy.
Okay, thank you for not being shy.
I'll start out for you.
All right.
So I was just going through the other day, and I'm planning to do a SACAT for my group, and I just figured this would be a good refresher to come and train you today.
Yeah, good. You know, it's the same for me. We've had summer, and I had a little time off and some distractions, you know, all around that. And today's a good refresher for me too. So somebody else, what attracted you to be here today? Hi, Tammy.
Hello. Actually, I got an email from Gina Gabellini.
Yes.
And had the link for your book. And so I was like, oh, well, the title sounded interesting. So I downloaded it. I haven't started reading it yet, but then the offer came to be on the call. And I'm like, well, I was attracted to the book. So I don't always show up for everything that I, get in my emails. But I was like, oh, there's something. I'll go see what's going on here. And I do energy work. So it's all about attraction and the vibration that you're coming from and things like that. So
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that, because you brought up one of the principles actually in the book, that your energy is attractive or not. It could be something that isn't attractive as well, but we want to get the buzz going so that we can really clear away all the things that are keeping the perfect customers from coming to us. So thank you for bringing that to the call today, Tammy.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Cool. Somebody else, what attracted you to be here today? Got a quiet group. All right. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do today is share with you some of the things that kind of jump out at me about the book. So it's been almost 10 years since the book came out. It came out in 2009. And as you saw in my letter, that this was kind of a memory, a good time of year to commemorate Alan, who had helped me write the book. And so I wanted to do that and honor him. But I also wanted to share with you, if you're looking to create a buzz in your business, anybody besides me, and you've gone through the year, you've gone through the summer, that maybe the kids are back to school this week. I think the kids are, where we live, are showing up back at school. But now you've got Labor Day to get through, but right behind Labor Day is what? The last part of the year. And so it's a good time to start thinking, if you haven't already, how to put the buzz into yourself and your business so that it's exciting not only to you. And so one of the things that I talk about in all of my work, John mentioned he wanted to do a strategic attraction planning process. Well, in the Being Attraction book, I played on the word be. The being I love the bees. Okay, so I love cats and bees. Like the program that we talk about that our certification training is SACAT, because I love cats. But I also love bees, and so I played with the strategic word to be about being. That when people were going through our work, the first round with the first book, what I discovered is that some people were really successful at it and some people weren't. And I was curious about that. And after a number of years of working with a lot of different people, I wanted to know, well, what is it that has, somebody being more successful than the other? And it boiled down to one thing. Anybody want to guess what the one thing is? I'll give you a clue. It's on the cover of the book. Anybody? What's the one thing? Tammy!
Love.
Love, thank you. Yes, love is one thing. What else? Anybody?
Oh, so that's not the one thing.
Well, that wasn't the one, but that's a good one. It is on the cover of the book.
Well, then it would be attraction.
It could be attraction.
Okay, so it's I've written everything that isn't the one.
Oh, well, you're still my perfect customer. All right. It's about being. So what I discovered is that the one thing that stood out of all the rest, that people that were successful in their business had stepped into the being of who they wanted to be seen as, what their goals were, who they wanted to walk into the room and be known as. And being sometimes has been put in the back of the the effort. Usually we think, oh, let me get into action, and then I'll be the person that it needs to be to make my business successful. But the reality is that I discovered that if you want to be successful today, be who you want to be in the future. And so that's one of the key principles in the book, is how to create your being on an ongoing basis. And so in chapter 4, if you'll read in that particular chapter, not right now, but chapter 4 talks about the being process. And it's a little bit about like explaining how the flavor of a banana, for example. Like, you just can't describe being. So this is how I do it. Is every morning you have an opportunity to create who you want to be that day. Like this morning, did I wake up ready to be your cheerleader, your leader, your happy being attraction person today? Well, I didn't, 100% sleep well last night. There was a few shifts that had to happen. And so that's what I talk about in the book, is how to produce a being shift. I could have either been just that way, kind of a sleepy person the rest of the day, or I could take the opportunity to shift my being. So what I want you to do, this is an interactive call, by the way, so I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to, like you were on one of my programs, take out a piece of paper and just write down, just for fun, who were you being when you woke up this morning? And have you had a shift? Have you had a shift between when you got into bed this morning and this moment? And just write that down, what you think your shift might have been. Maybe you didn't call it a being shift, but I know that I did. Yeah, did I hear somebody? Okay. All right. So, one of my favorite being stories of shifting my being was when I first moved to Santa Fe. I went to a networking group. Anybody go to those? Well, I thought it'd be a good way to meet other people. Since I was brand new here, I didn't know any family or friends. And so on the way to this particular event, I'm having all these jitters. Even though I've been around networking events, I built my business in Houston, Texas, going to networking events, talking about the books, talking about my classes. This particular day, I was like, forgot all of that. And so I had called to the house. Alan answered the phone, and thank goodness, he said, well, who are you being today? And I'm like, well, right now I'm being pretty pitiful, Jan, because, I think I should have worn the other shoes, the different, outfit. My hair looks kind of flat. And he said, okay, is that how you want to be seen when you walk in the room? Your shoes hurt, your suit is wrong, or your clothes is wrong, your hair is flat. Is that how you want to be noticed? And I went, no, of course not. And he said, well, who would you like to be being today? And I thought about it for a second, and it did take a minute to shift because I was kind of attached to my pitiful story. And so I said, well, who I'd like to be seen when I walk into that group for the first time, people I've never met, is the savvy goddess of business. And I'm like, Yeah, that's it. I want to be the savvy goddess of business. And so I had a being shift. I swear my hair even fluffed up in that moment. So that's what beings is like, is that you can shift moment to moment. I know we are all perfect most of the time, but when you need that shift, it's time to call in some other power that we all have inside of us. And so who would love to share? Who were you being, and did you have a shift? Or who could you be being? Anybody? Y'all are going to make it hard on me today, aren't you? I'm going to have to pick on John or Tammy because I see them. All right.
You can pick on me.
Okay, John, I'll pick on you.
All right, you can pick on me. Well, this morning, I was kind of the master of technology when I woke up this morning. I had all these technical things I was whipping up, and definitely I felt a shift when I jumped into that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's who you are. You're like this.
That's who I am. Exactly.
Anytime I want to know what new tech is going on, John's already been there, done that, and figured it out. So cool. But did you wake up that way? Super tech guy?
I didn't. I kind of, it's cool up here in New Hampshire, and it was one of those mornings like we've gone through like this huge heat wave, and I just kind of like wanted to sleep in, but I couldn't. I woke up early. And I went down, I just started digging into some stuff, and a couple friends had contacted me for different things, and I jumped right into my being.
That's great. That's great. Well, I see on the group chat, B was having a little problem unmuting. Let's see if I can unmute you. Okay, B, you're unmuted now. So she said she's still working on the technology, and everything wasn't quite letting her. If you want to share, the line is open. But let me just unmute everybody. All right, anybody else like to share? The lines are open.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, who's that?
It's Sue speaking, or B speaking.
All right. I see Joan. Okay. Is that B?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you, B. Yes, go.
Okay, and it's ironic that is my nickname, so I haven't just done it for this audio. So
oh, good, good.
I didn't know it was even going to come up as that. It was a bit of a surprise, so there we go. But no, this morning I thought, I'm just closing off a contract and I want to start a new business. And then your Zoom.
Hold on. I'm going to mute everybody else. Wow. Okay. Hold on, B. I got to unmute you. All right, B, you're unmuted. Everybody else is muted. Okay.
Cool. And can you hear me? Is it
yes. Yes.
Perfect. So this morning I was just finishing a contract. I'd made up my mind. That was it. I was sending them the last things that they needed. And I thought, right, I'm going to start something new. And then your Zoominar invite came in, and I thought, well, how much more perfect is it than that? So I spent this afternoon reading the book, and it's just really exciting. I'm excited to get started.
Oh, good. Well, that's what it's all about, putting some buzz into your hands and your business at the same time. All right. So what was your being, though? What did you create your being to be?
I think I started with just new beginnings. I felt like it was the start of something this morning. I woke up refreshed instead of exhausted, and it just felt different today. I love starting things anyway. So
that's great.
Had that new energy and buzz is the perfect word. I had the buzz of, right, I'm starting something new today. So
good. All right. Well, it's as simple as that when you start your day and you think of something that you really like to be seen as or known as, it could be as simple as new beginnings. I want it ready to get a buzz on in my business. It could be I'm going to attend this Zoominar and get a buzz. That could have caused a being shift just being here. All right. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All right. Somebody else like to share? Joan. Oh my gosh, Joan.
Hi. I actually finished going through the process in the book yesterday.
Oh, good.
So sometimes I don't always get all the way through things like that. But I have a new business, my retirement business as a health coach, and I am needing to attract clients because I'm still a hobby at this point. And I realize it's been a fairly cognitive kind of approach. And I wanted to kind of dig deeper into myself and pull some of myself up to inject into my business. So that's why I was attracted to that. So I found myself this morning, before I dashed out of the house, looking at my saying or my B statement.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm a mojo maven guiding midlifers to health and vitality.
Woohoo! I love it. That's great.
Because I help midlifers and retirees find their health mojo. So
Yeah.
I came up with that one that feels pretty good for me. And it gave me a lift this morning.
Nice.
I'm more
Nice.
encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime that I can get in touch with, who I really want to be seen as or known as or become, it is always a lift. So congratulations on that. Thank you
Thanks.
for sharing. Yes. All right. So that's it. Your being shifting is the one thing that sets you apart from other people. That even if there's hundreds and bazillions of people doing what you do, the one thing that people will be drawn to is your being. Because if I walk into a room, a crowd of people, of potential people that I want to do business with, some people are not going to be drawn to me and others are. And so one of my favorite analogies which is in the book, is to be a lighthouse. And so when I walk into a crowded room, if you're like me, I'm not the one that's going to make friends with everybody in the room. Anybody else feel that way? I'm going to be the one that I like people to come to me. And some people like to go to other people and go, person to person. I'm not that one. But I like to invite people to come to me. And what causes them to come to me is my light. And as Tammy was saying, we were talking about how attraction is all about energy. Well, if we look at the analogy of a lighthouse, and that each of us is like an example of a lighthouse, and you could say your business, you are your business, and you are that lighthouse. And so the purpose of a lighthouse is to let the light shine, right? It guides the boats see the light, and they're drawn in. So if you apply that to yourself and your business, if you will practice just being a lighthouse when you walk into that crowded room and let your light shine, I'm willing to bet you're going to meet some really cool people because they're going to be drawn to your energy. And that's what that really means. And so that's what another tip inside of the book is that energy attracts. And it also detracts, by the way. So you can look at, if you're not attracting the people that you want, you could be hanging out in the wrong room with the wrong people. So it behooves you to try lots of different groups if you're doing local marketing, for example. Or if you're doing online marketing, you may need to test it out a little bit, that some people come and some people don't. But I'd be willing to bet every person on here was drawn to some aspect of my mailing. Either it was the bee, the book, the love, that Gina sent you the email, or Julia. I only had 2 people send it out, by the way. I sent it out from my list, and Gina and Julia came to my side. And, that's the way attraction works, is that you just put your heart, if you want to create a buzz, you have to be yourself. You've got to come from your heart about how things work best for you. And if I just stay true to that, people are going to show up. Today, quite a few people showed up. We had almost 1,000 people download the book. It was a beautiful, expression. It was like I got to give a book, and in return, I got to meet new people. And that's the way business is really intended to work. So in how to create a buzz for your business, how many would like to get more customers? I know everybody's raising their hands, right? We all are on the videos. But here's how you do it. is that you do a strategic attraction plan. I've done hundreds of these. You may have already done one. You may have gotten the book and gone to the second part. The second part has a being attraction plan in here, an overview of it, and then it has a little bit more explanation. So one of the things that you need to do is take out a pen and a piece of paper, just a plain piece of paper. It is not harder than that. What the hard part is to just get started. So what you want to do is take out that plain piece of paper. I don't care if it's a cocktail. It's going to be one of these. I don't care what you use. It could be a cocktail napkin over a glass of iced tea with your friends. But the first thing that you want to know about in your strategic attraction plan, or as we call it in the book, being attraction plan, is who do you want to work with? Like, who are the people that are out there that you would like to hang out with, play with, work with, contribute to? And on step number 1, that's where you start to outline who those people are. So step number 1 in our strategy is to describe them. That's a buzzword, by the way, and that's in the book. Describe the qualities, characteristics, and attributes of my perfect customer or client. And a funny thing starts to happen. I don't know the mechanics behind writing it out versus typing it out on your computer, but I just say write it out with the old-fashioned way. I'm kind of an old-fashioned girl sometimes. If you'll just write out those kind of things and fill up the page. You know, you can write in a spiral. You can write this way. You can write that way. One of the things about the work that I teach is about learning what's perfect for me, rather than try to fit the mold. There's a lot of mold fitting out there, and if you do this, you're going to get that. And I've always been just the anti-marketing person. Like, if everybody else was doing it, in this traditional way, I'm going to be doing it probably in my non-traditional way, because I found that even if somebody tells me that this is the best thing since sliced bread, if it's not perfect for me, it's not going to be a good fit. So the purpose of writing this plan out, this strategy, is to determine what's inside of me. So step number 1, describe the qualities, characteristics, and attributes of my perfect client or customer or stakeholder. This could be for any other stakeholders in your business, including romantic partners. It works really well for that. That's another class. But so describe them in ways of what you would like to see in your day working with them. Like, are they happy, cheerful, upbeat? Do they love what you say? Do they listen to what you have to say? They seek you out. They drink bulletproof coffee. What is it, about people that you love to be with? And that's step number 1. And then step number 2 is another business principle that's in the book called getting to what makes you tick. And step number 2 is a little deeper dive where we get to discover the true essence of inside of ourselves. And the principle here is that if it's true for me that I really love something, my perfect customers are probably going to really relate to it really well, or even be driven or motivated by that same purpose. And that's what step number 2 is for us to discover exactly what it is inside of me, that light in the lighthouse. What is the language of who I am that makes people want to even come and work with me? Just so you know, Perfect Customers got started in the year 2000. And here we are 18 years later, and people are still being drawn to this message. It's a timeless message because it's based on universal principles. I didn't make these principles up. Law of attraction is old as time. It's a universal truth that if I like something, unto which I will be drawn to me of similar nature. I probably screwed that up. But it's like attracts like, because an easier way to say it is that if I figure out what that is, it makes sense, doesn't it? That people that like the same thing are going to be drawn to me as well. I just have to figure out what I like. And sometimes we're a little naive or unclear about what that is. And so that's what the step 1 through 5 in our attraction plan is all about. So step 1 is to describe those people you want to work with. Step 2 is to get it really in touch with what makes you tick. And step 3, now this is where I say your light has to really come on bright. And step number 3, one of the principles in the book is about energy work. And what I discovered, and all my energy workers out there are listening are going to love this, I discovered that in the law of attraction, one of the things that keeps me from attracting what I truly want is energy. Is that, and not with other people either, it's my own energy. And so if you imagine that all of us have, like this is the woo-woo part of the call. If you imagine, it's not my law, by the way, it's a universal truth. We are all vibrating energy living beings, and so is everything else around us. And so it makes sense to stop and remember that our field is just huge. But sometimes we contract our field in. An illness can cause your field to contract. Negative thinking, surrounding yourself with toxic people, or consuming toxic things, foods, beverages, things like that will keep us from expanding our energy. So what we're here is one of the principles is recognizing, where do I need to expand my energy? Where am I being blocked? And I will just tell you the truth. This book kicked my ass. Is that right after, if you're an author and you know how sometimes the books bring it out, what we need the most. I wrote the book and it got published in 2009 and 2010, right at the beginning of 2010. And right after the book came out, one of the biggest personal healing crises I've ever had came up at the same time. And so it was a bit challenging to launch a new book, and the world was still in crisis. But I spent 3 years healing this particular part of my energy field that needed clearing out. It needed healing. And so this kind of work I'm not the healer. I'm just the helper that helps you to see what there is to heal. And so when I've worked with people, I tell them, do the strategic attraction plan, because it will surface anything that you need to work on. If you choose not to work on that, you'll just keep surfacing the same thing over and over. Anybody know that to be true? Yes. All right. Seen that happen. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So the strategic attraction plan, or the being attraction plan that we're promoting in the book, is designed to help you bring everything up to the surface that needs to be cleared or healed or reinvented or spoken differently about, or maybe it's a whole nother direction in life that it'll take you. You never know. I want to open the mute and see if anybody has a question. Unmute. Oh, you're all unmuted, so don't say anything bad to the dog. Don't kick the dog. All right, who wants to ask a question or comment? Anything you heard so far? Anybody? You hear a little bit of noise in the background. If you got a lot of noise, just click on your mute. Anybody notice something that I sparked for you, just a truth or something that you know to be truthful? All right, I got to mute everybody again. It's kind of noisy. All right, you can unmute again. All right, so if you want to say anything, just chime in here. All right, so we talked about getting a buzz in your business. Is one way is to start with a strategic or being attraction plan, which is in the book. So we talked about step 1, 2, and 3 is the part that I told you will surface your healing needs. And the title of that is to specify what I want my perfect customers to expect of me. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's actually worded that way to produce a paradigm shift. What do I want my perfect customers to expect of me? Now, here's the notion. I figured out, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, but my perfect customers want me to have what I want. What? So step number 3 is to write down, what do I want? If you've been guilty, and I know I was, and I am, I still do this occasionally, but not as much, is step number 3 is where we take a complaint and turn it around. If you find an area where you've been complaining, even if you've been saying, not enough customers, not enough hours in the day, not enough sleep for me, not enough. These are all areas that are showing me that I need to make a shift. So what do I want? So if I want something that's not happening, where does it happen? Does it happen out there? No, it happens over here with me. So step number 3 is, what do I want my perfect customers to expect of me? And when I'm not getting everything I want, what do I want them to expect of me then? Because my perfect customers really are the key to everything that I want. They're the ones that are showing me, they're like my cosmic mirrors reflecting back to me exactly what I'm getting and what I'm not getting. You know, like if you attract a perfect customer and, you know, maybe they just sing your praises, they pay your fees, they love working with you, they refer business right and left. We want lots of those, right? Well, what if they're not like that? Did I attract them, or did they just show up by accident? So the reality is that I attract both. I attract some that are so great, and sometimes I attract people that are showing me something that I need to either heal or shift or learn about myself so that I can change the situation. I tell people that 100% of my customers are 100% perfect 100% of the time. And how can I make that claim? Is this. It's a very simple truth that 100% of my customers are showing me 100% of the time what I want and what I've attracted. They're showing me what's going on inside of me. So if I'm attracting really great people that I love working with, it's coming from a part of me that's really great. But occasionally somebody comes in or into my business where it's not going the way I want. Maybe I'm not getting enough clientele. That's also from inside of me. And that's the good news, is that if it's from inside of me to get what I want, it's also inside of me when I'm not getting it to make a shift. And that's what step number 3 is all about, is shifting your energy. And so the attraction plan is all about bringing to the surface where I need to go to work. And that's step number 3. And so read in the chapter about that. Step number 4 is about being, and we've already talked about that, but I'll just share it in the context of the attraction plan. Step number 4 is about declaring who I get to be to attract what I want. So declare, you know, like, I'm doing this, you know, stake in the ground, flag in the ground. I'm standing my ground. Declare who I get to be. I'm not sacked with a negative being, you know, like that just didn't get stamped on my forehead one day and say, all right, forever, you're damaged and you're no good. And, you know, this is just not how it is. You're actually just the opposite, is that you were born perfectly, and there's a perfect part of you always. Even in the imperfect parts, it's perfect, because the imperfect parts that we see as imperfect, and like when I was doing that healing, there was a lot of imperfect parts for me. And so what I had to do is I had to relearn how to see my imperfections as beautiful. And so being who you want to be seen as is about loving all those perfectly imperfect parts of you and being seen perfectly from that perspective. So the being shift allows you every day to step into, when you're dressing yourself, you're putting on your wardrobe, brushing your teeth, your hair. Also step into the being of who you'd like to be seen that day, even if you're just walking out the door to run errands or go to the grocery store. And one of the best places you can do that is right here. Everybody, smile. Just smile. Come on. Give me your smile. Give me your best smile. Now, that's a being. What about that? That's a being too. But one of them is attractive, and one of them makes people run and hide when I go sour. When my face does that, oh my God, it's even worse. I saw myself on the video. But the being is the opportunity to shift, even if you just make one little shift like a smile and walk out your door. Practice today. This is my challenge for you. Practice smiling everywhere you go, even in the house, even in your office. It's just you. Smile. You got to work these muscles a little bit. They're a little down, okay? Bring them up. Smiling actually causes shining. It's your light shining. So I'm like giving you dust today on your smile to make it more magnetic. And I want to hear back from you. All right? So I have great results at the coffee shop with a smile. Walk in smiling. I have all sorts of people talking to me at the coffee shop. And my dance class is one of my favorite activities. Is I like to go, is my workout. I do a practice called Nia. And my dance class, I noticed people were not smiling enough. So I decided to start a smile. I didn't say a word. I just start smiling. And then I start noticing who else is smiling as a result of it. So these are ways to start creating a buzz in your business. It gets people talking about you. So smile. All right, a couple more business principles that I want to say that I don't know that there's a lot of people talking about it, but it seemed to me was important to put in my book. And one of them is intuition. And people wanted to know, how do you come up with your pricing, for example? And I tell them, intuition. I use my intuition. How do you know if they're a perfect fit for me? Use your intuition. How do I know whether to take the next step? Sign up for a business program. Use your intuition. How do I know I'm supposed to be on a Zoominar today? Use your intuition. That's what guides you. Your intuition is your inner guidance system, and all of us have it. You just need to trust it more. I've been practicing trusting my gut reaction. And all of us have different ways of determining if your intuition is going. But one of them for me is kind of like in the solar plexus area. I feel a little bit of, this is right for me. Or it could be in your heart, your throat. You could see visions. I tend to have all of those going at one, but it could just be an overall feeling of this just feels right. That's your intuition. Allow it to guide you in your business before you take an action. And I added a step that is not in the book. The fifth step is about taking attractive actions and avoiding dazzling distractions. And how do we do that? We use our intuition. How do I know something is an attractive action for me? And an attractive action feels good. It has, I don't wake up at 2 a.m. fretting about making that decision. It kind of like, for me, goes clunk in the body, or I feel my heart is peaceful. Use your intuition. What is an attractive action to take? So after you've done all of the 4 steps of the attraction plan, start implementing your business plan. You have the clarity and focus from a being attraction plan first. You've got your being to start being a successful business owner, and then you want to put it all into action. Now, sometimes a dazzling distraction comes along, and A dazzling distraction for me is one that takes me away from my path. Oh my gosh, I've had so many dazzling distractions this summer. It's been unreal. I relocated my home. That led from, there was one thing after another around that. I've had in the month of August, visitors. Like, I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Everybody wants to get out of where they live to come to Santa Fe because it's probably too hot. And Santa Fe is kind of nice this time of year. So dazzling distractions can take you off your path. So how do you get back off the dazzling distraction and get back on your path? Well, a couple of ways. One is look at your attraction plan and what makes you tick. And just remember, what makes me tick is being voice of feminine spirit. Feminine spirit is my voice. I like to speak to people. If I'm not speaking to people and having Zoominars, I'm probably off my path. So thank you guys for letting me get it back on my path today. So how do you get back on your path when you've strayed or one wheel's in the ditch? You're like stuck. You can't get back on the road. Can't get started. Or you're involved with people or organizations. Maybe you said yes when you should have said no. How do you get back on the path? Pull out this book. This book will get you back on the path, always. The principles in here, I guarantee there's something in here that if you just did this, page flipper, the answer is going to be there for you, the solution. Let's see what we found. So if I were flipping today, it suggested for me to get back on the path was to do an energy balance exercise. That's in here. Okay? So use the book. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You can read it backwards, actually. You can do it, first thing in the morning in your morning routine. Grab it and say, where am I headed today? And use it for that. Then the last business principle that I wanted to share with you today is in Chapter 7. Intuition's in Chapter 6. Chapter 7 is about signs. Some people totally don't believe in this, so if you don't listen. If you like it, try it on. I believe that there are signs that lead us into different directions. I believe there's signs that confirm I'm on my right path. I believe there's signs that come from our angels. Angels are trying to nudge me. Alan's been a wonderful angel for me, being on the other side. He sent me a wonderful sign. You can make up what your signs mean. I wish I could show you the picture. Anyway, I don't have it to show you right now, but I'll just tell you about it. And right before I moved out of the house that he and I shared for 13 years, the backyard is in Santa Fe. We don't do a lot of green grass because of the drought, and we're called the high desert. So let's see. Hi, whoever's coming in from the garage. Your video is very interesting. Anyway, in the backyard there was a feather, and it was sticking straight up, just like this, like somebody had placed it in the rocks, which is kind of a hard thing to do, just on your own, much less it just happened. So I saw that, and I kind of looked at it, and I'm like, well, we have had a lot of wind, somehow maybe it lodged there. Then fast forward, the day before the movers came, I walked outside, and we'd had spring weather. Spring weather here is extremely windy. And just gust of wind. There's no way a feather sticking in a rock was going to withstand. So that particular feather fell down. It blew away. It had to. But I walked out the day before the movers came, and there's a feather sticking in the rocks, standing straight up in the same place. And I'm like, that's a message. That's a sign. And it's up to me to determine what the sign is telling me. I can't tell you what the sign, but in that moment, I felt like Alan was letting me know all around. He's around because even though it's been a year, he doesn't quite talk to me like he did right after he left. But the feather was saying, I'm still here. And he was also very fond of birds. He fed the birds all the time. So a feather was appropriate. So I've also had other signs that came to me at different times. Carpenter nails, for example, was always on a path. I even found a carpenter nail at the top of the mountain in Banff, Canada. I went hiking, and you wouldn't expect, on the trail, you've been winding to find a nail. But I have been thinking about how to revamp my program. And when I would get this nails was a sign to say you're on the right track, whatever my thoughts were. And so anyway, I was on this trail, I looked down, and there's that nail. So I've had lots of those. So nails, something physical. It could be a feather, a nail, it could be anything, a penny. Maybe it's a $5 bill for you. I've gotten those too. Money are great signs. Also, digital clocks. If you see repeat patterns, often I see the digital numbers of my birthday, which is 727. I see that on a clock. I'm like, that's a good sign. Abraham Hicks, if you follow Abraham, says that a sign is often something that is just telling you that you're on your right track, and it could be a sequence of things. It could be sounds. It could be a series of signs tend to come in threes. You've heard that from your grandmother. She says, oh, that's the third time that's happened. I better do it. That's kind of the old-fashioned thing, but I believe in those things that are passed down to us. So signs is another thing to watch for in your business, because in your business there's also signs. And today's sign was probably when you downloaded the book, perhaps. That could have been a sign for you. Maybe the email, you woke up today, you were going to do something completely different, and next thing you know, you're looking at your email going, well, I don't usually attend those things, but here I am. I'm going to be there. So there was obviously something that you needed. So business does have signs as well, particularly if you're going in a particular direction, or you're starting new, or you need to. If you are trying to make everything perfect in your business and you haven't taken that step that tells you to go forward, then you're probably being nudged more than you know. Allow the signs to come in and pay attention to them. So everything that I'm talking about today requires something called awareness. And so it's also a business principle that I think is very important, is you need to be aware of many things. I call it the realms. So what is my body telling me? The physical realm. My body may be giving me a sign, an indication. It may be saying, go full speed ahead, or I think you need to take some time out and rest or recuperate or heal that wound you've got. Remember, it takes a body to have a business. And so if your body isn't functioning, your business isn't going to function either. So even though when my book had been written and I'd been successful in business, and lo and behold, right in the middle of that, a healing need came forward, I knew that if I didn't heal that, it would impact my business. I probably wouldn't even have a business by now if I hadn't. So physical, mental, how are you mentally? Are you taking care of your mental state? Are you hanging out with positive people? Are you seeing the glass half full? Are you seeing everything through the negative perspective? If you focus on negativity, guess what you get? More negativity. It's like attracts like. If you focus on positivity, I'm not talking about being unreal. There are real issues in the world. There are real issues in our lives. I'm not saying to, pour sugar on something that's not, a real issue. But there are wins. There are things inside of each little thing that happens in our lives, that there are no accidents that they're happening. And they're there for your growth. Everything that is happening in your life is happening for you to take the next step or to expand and be a little bit bigger than you've been before. So signs, watch for signs, be aware. So mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, all the different realms. Check in and see how you're doing on each one, because to create a heart-centered business means to have balance, to have something that fills your heart and the hearts of people you work with. If you're off balance, like your car, when your tires get out of alignment, the car doesn't drive right, the steering wheel does this little jerking motion. I tried that. And I found out to balance your tires, there's this little piece of metal. It's like that big. But if you don't have that in your tire, in the balancing, and all the other tires do have it, your car shakes. So that's like all of us. We need to balance ourselves in all the various realms to have our business functioning in the way that we want. All right. So before we close, I wanted to open it up for any questions. Yes, Kate. Hi.
Hi. So back on number 3, you were talking about how we attract our ideal client, and then sometimes we can attract people who are showing us how we're off our path or what we need to know. So my question is, if a client comes and you get that sense that, this isn't my perfect client, is it you kind of move them to something better for them, or do you go through the process saying, there's something for me in all of this, and I'm going to go through with this just so that I learn my lesson?
Yes.
How is,
Yes, you're on the right.
I'm confused.
Actually, you're really not confused. You're seeing it exactly clear. Is, let's say, as you said, you've got a situation with somebody that, it feels off. It doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. It's clanging, clashing, whatever. And yes, step back before you do anything. Don't go chop their head off yet. Just step back and ask yourself, what is this person showing me that I want that I'm not getting in that relationship? So do you have somebody like that currently? Kate?
I don't, but there have been times when people have come forward and I thought, I really hope they don't move forward.
Yeah.
That we've had an initial thing and I'm just really not feeling it with them. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that says, I don't want to let them down, but there's also a part of me that's saying, I don't want to be a failure. And I feel like if I try with them, I'm going to fail.
Yeah, good. Well, you're not meant to work with everybody. That's the number one principle.
Right.
Is you would serve that person better possibly by having somebody else work with them. But before I would advise you to send them on their way to somebody else, I would like you to look inside yourself and see, what are they showing me that I want? Maybe I haven't asked for. Maybe I didn't, say in the beginning. Let's just say they call you at 9:00 at night on a weekend. Not perfect. How are my business hours? Have you specified your business hours? Maybe that's something I need to put in place and let people, and then maybe there's something you haven't communicated. Is there a way that you can work with this person if you were to come from, there's things that I may not have shared with you that I wanted to share to see, to let you know I need to have this the particular way. How do you feel about that? Can we work it out? So sometimes the worst clients can become the best clients because they're helping you work out what you need to work out. But I don't advocate firing clients, that they're horrible, I don't think you're going to attract the client from hell too many times. We all do it maybe in the beginning. I mean, I know in the beginning of my business, I was new, I was hungry, I wanted to work with everybody, I wanted their money, I wanted to do things. And there was the very first client I ever had was a small company, And I took the job because I was scared. I had just left my corporate job and I was scared about money. But they wanted me to do what I was doing in my corporate job, which I was really pretty done with when I quit. So going backwards into that, it showed me that even though that wasn't my perfect customer, it showed me I don't want to do that VP of sales stuff anymore. There's another part of Jan that wants to come out. And even if somebody has, a dazzling dollar to wave in front of me, I can say no and know that something better is around the corner. Something that would really benefit both of us because we're a good match. And sometimes saying no to a potential customer is the best thing you can do for yourself and for them ultimately. But if you really in your heart of hearts say, it's not really a good match, maybe it's the kind of work you don't want to do or the topic. There are certain topics that I refer to other people because that's not my area of specialty. But there are topics that do surface. So my coaching clients might get referred. Not because I don't like them, but because there's somebody that can do what they need better. Thanks for the question. Yeah. Anybody else? Sheila, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thank you for this. I've got a few things I want to say. First of all, will we be getting a replay? I had to miss the first 15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, great. This has been great. You put things I've never defined my customer. Of course, then I don't have the customers, but you've put a different twist spin on a lot of this. I'll fess up, I didn't look at the book until this morning when I figured I better look through some of it. And definitely that's top priority on my list now.
Yeah.
I appreciate, so there's so many things that I appreciate. One of the things that is interesting is the smile. I mean, I know I've said when I've been down, go out, give a smile, get a smile. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me, I can be smiling at myself when I'm walking around the house, feeling negative and smile back.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Some of the energy things you've said, just there's a lot that you said here. I thought I'd get on a multitask. No way is this a multitasking call. And the numbers reminded me of an interesting story, and I could worry about it, or then I could switch it. In Florida, we have to change our license plates every 10 years. And I was happy with what I had. Supposedly the number 7 was a good number. And something had me check the license. And I think the code 96 or whenever the number was on it was a code for kidney dialysis. The medical code. And I'm saying, no, I'm not going to drive around with this for 10 years. I went back and paid to change my license plate. So now when you're talking about numbers being a sign, I'm saying, is that a sign that God forbid I might need that? Or just a sign and I'll go sit in a sign I need to change my license plate?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you get to say because you have your own guidance.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it was, I'm not going to dwell on it anyway, but I could dwell on it for the rest of the day, which doesn't forward anything. But I'll take that it was simply a sign to the fact that checking, even getting a sign, something having checked, was a sign that I should change my license plate.
Yeah.
Meant nothing more than that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheila, very much. And everybody, thank you for being here. And I'm going to, I'm working on another program. I'm going to tell you about it by email. I have a masterclass series that I teach, and I'm putting I'm revising it a little bit. I've taught it several times before. It's not a long series, but it's a really great series because it talks about things that other places, other business people aren't really working with, but you need, like your product pyramid, what's your product package, how do you get clients if you don't have a list, how can you get started. It talks about networking, marketing, and some very in-depth work on strategic attraction. anyway, that's a masterclass series that's coming up. You might be interested. And then also we have our certification training program that I told you about earlier. The CAT, SACAT, stands for Strategic Attraction Coaching and Certification Training. And the whole principle behind that, it's a 12-week program, but at the end, you get to use the strategic attraction plan with your own clients, and you can do workshops, you can do Zoominars like this, you can do keynotes. There's lots of ways you can monetize that particular training. And people seem to like it because they come back and take it over and over and like to hang out. Anyway, those are some of the things that I wanted to do to create more buzz in your business. And today was one of the first steps after you got the book. So I'm glad that you could come. And if you're watching the replay, I'm glad that you can watch the replay. My email, if you want to send me a note, is jan@perfectcustomers.com. And my website is perfectcustomers.com. So write me, email me, and let me know how I can support you. Much love. Thank you for being here today. Bye. Lines are unmuted.